Thank you. And stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the order, please.
Mr. Benton.
Here.
Mrs. Boer. Here. Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Thomas. Here. Mr. Swager.
Here. You want to go? I was going to go ahead and introduce our candidates, and then you can do yours. All right. New superintendent, which will be voted on later this evening, but since everybody's here and before half of you leave, I would like to introduce Phil Wagner. If you'd like to get up, Phil, and the mic over there is hooked up so people at home can hear us. But Phil, if you could just share a little bit about yourself, I'd appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Philip Wagner. I have been at Licking Heights for 11 years and had an invitation, and I'm very happy to be here, actually. This is my 31st year. I'm finishing in education, so really looking forward. I appreciate everything that's been done with the board working through this process. It's been, I know, a little bit slower process than expected, but we had a bond issue on Tuesday, so we didn't want to do anything to disrupt that. So I think that impacted the timeline and all. But just very happy to be here, looking forward to getting started. And I appreciate the fact that we're going to have some transition time, and look forward. I've worked with Dale for years and years through the county, so we're going to actually spend a lot of time on transitioning. So really looking forward to it. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dixon.
Yeah, I'd like to also welcome Phil and again applaud the board for your process. I know this wasn't easy. It took a lot of time, a lot of study, and a lot of candidates. I think we had 29 candidates for this job, and to arrive at Phil certainly is wonderful for Johnstown schools. His skill set will be wonderful for this district moving forward through the great growth that we're going to experience. So thank you, board, for your time and commitment. And Phil, you're coming into a fantastic district. I know I said this Friday night as well. Greatest students, greatest parents, greatest staff you could ever hope for. And you're going to find that out rather quickly. And just wish you all the best, my friend. Also, 3 changes to the agenda. I sent these out to you in advance. I just want to draw to your attention since they came out Friday. We had one resignation came in this morning for a paraprofessional job, Christina Preeman. You'll see that I've added that under item K to tonight's agenda for you. You can see an additional request for leave of absence beyond FMLA leave that also was received today that I wanted to put on since we had a couple other similar requests on the agenda. So those are additions that we've put on. Also, under our treasurer's report, you'll see that there was an additional donation made, and that's from Mr. Busenberg, monetary donation for the scholarship fund. So we added that since Friday. Questions?
None for me. Board.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that, it's my pleasure to introduce to you this evening a group of ladies who work very hard to maintain and run programs at our Cornell school. They're known as the Friends of Cornell, and they're here this evening to share a little bit about their program. I'd like to welcome to the board this evening Alice Main, Cindy Reeves, Gail Dufford, Sally Udy, Diane Stutz, and Nancy Lynch. I hope I have y'all on there.
I think you
Did
do.
I miss anybody else?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I'm going to take advantage of this microphone. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. Wagner to Johnstown. I've been here a long time. It was a pleasure to meet you just now and welcome. And he didn't understate that it's a great staff. And I haven't even been part of them for a long time, but great staff. And now we kind of led Ms. Dixon that we were going to present what we've done at Cornell School, which I will do. But Mr. Dixon, I'd like you to come up here, please, if you would. Sorry. So now, good evening, Mr. Dixon and members of the Johnstown-Monroe School Board. I'm here on behalf of the Friends of Cornell School, and we have several of our school moms here. You're fine. This is about you right now, sort of. Anyway, I'm certain all of you are aware of what we believe to be a unique and living history of a one-room schoolhouse, and it's just across the way from what's now currently the board office. I doubt that you can miss it. Cornell School was physically moved to its current location in 1991 from Duncan Plains Road. And with the transition that's happening in this area, I'm really glad we did that. For the next 5 years, we encountered many challenges, but we persevered with the help of many fine people. Cornell School first opened its doors to serve the children of this district in August of 1996. And on a personal note, I have to say, probably my very best day teaching was I got to be the first school marm from Johnstown at Cornell School, and it was probably my best day. Since 1996, Cornell School has hosted Johnstown first graders on an annual basis, minus COVID, and we're trying to catch up on that because there are 2 classes that didn't get to go. Many other grade levels, including the high school, and then neighboring school districts have taken advantage of it. Cornell School is governed by 9 trustees, one of whom is Mr. Dixon. He joined as a trustee when he came to Johnstown in May of 2014. And while several previous superintendents have supported our school and the school board as well, Mr. Dixon has been the only one to serve on our board, and he's been a wonderful advocate for Cornell School. He attends our meetings regularly and has kept us informed of the happenings of this school district, which all of you know have been many in the last 7 years. In short, he's made an exemplary impact on the value of Johnstown-Monroe schools as well as Cornell School in its history. Children have continued to actually experience a school day in the life of a child of what it would have been like 100 years ago. And I think that's pretty remarkable. Mr. Dixon, on behalf of the Friends of Cornell School, we want to thank you for your constant support of Cornell School. Your service to the students and citizens of this district has been outstanding and very much appreciated, and we're grateful that you will remain on our board. And I also look forward to working with you, Mr. Wagner, in the same capacity, maybe not as a trustee, but certainly getting to know us and how we can be a part of the district. We want to present you, and I think I might have left it. We want to present you with a token of our gratitude for a job well done. We have a personalized walnut, and we know you like woodworking, skeleton key holder with Cornell School on it, and then you get your very own personal key that really gets you into the school. So if you want to open that, those aren't given out very. This is always I tried to avoid awkward. I don't know if I did or not. People get a gift and. Well, thank you for what you've done for Johnstown schools and our community as a whole. Mr. Dixon, you have made a difference. We wish you the best that life has to offer and look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. And Mr. Dixon, as has become your trademark, make it a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the board for allowing me to speak.
I don't have as much to say. Carol could not be here tonight, and so I'm the vice president. So I wanted to present you. Also, we're looking forward to having you have a nice retirement. So we want to wish you well with that. And so we also have a photograph for you of the school and the card that we all signed. And I just wanted to say, it seems so long ago because my children were very small when we moved to school, and my kids helped clean the bricks as we had to put in the basement and everything. And so we had a whole bunch of bricks that we had to take all the cement off. And my 4-year-old son at the time was doing that. So it was pretty fun. Anyway, thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate all the help you've given us over the years. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, friends of Cornell. I'm honored. Thank you. History is so important to me, and I think it should be important to all of us, because we have to remember from where we came to be more effective at where we're going. And that Cornell school is a treasure. If you ever get the opportunity to go in and go down the basement, look at all the artifacts that have been collected, all the old toys that have been collected, all the old Murphy readers, or McGuffey readers, and the different pieces that are in there are quite the collection. And it's a history of who we are as Johnstown people, where we came from. And so I hope you never lose an interest in that, and seeing children over there in the garb of the day going through a school day like it used to be is again, just a treasure to experience. Some of you folks that are here this evening probably remember your trips over to the Cornell School. It's kind of unique. Not all school districts do that. So I applaud you, trustee members, for guarding that treasure and all the work you do. And I'm pleasantly surprised, and thank you very much for the honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ladies. We'll turn it back to you, Mr. Dixon.
Okay, I thought perhaps right now might be the best time to introduce a few folks that are with us here this evening. Folks that are coming on staff that we've been privileged to spend a lot of time with, interviewing and vetting. And we'd like to ask that each of them, please, as I introduce you, please come to the podium, just say a few words and introduce yourself so that the board can put a face with you before we act on your contract later in the meeting. First of all, I'd like to introduce Grace Wagner. If you come forward, Grace, to the podium, we'd appreciate it. Grace is being employed by our district as a new student services coordinator. She will be in charge of all the special needs programming for our school district. And she has a wealth of knowledge in this area. She's been in IST before for years. And we were just very impressed with her enthusiasm, her knowledge, and what she can bring to Johnny Nation here. So Grace Wagner, I introduced to you this evening. Grace?
Thanks, Mr. Dixon. Thanks, guys, for having me. I'm so excited. When I say that I'm genuine, this is probably the most full circle experience I've ever had in my career. I started in education 2010 right here. When it was Johnstown High School, actually. I started as an aide and I ran the in-school suspension program. Since then, things have changed drastically, both here in Johnstown and all over the place. But I want to echo the sentiments that I've heard multiple times already tonight. There is no greater staff, there aren't greater kids or community, and I'm really, really excited to come back and be a part of it. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce to you this evening, who you'll see later on the agenda, to approve a contract as the new middle school dean of students, Mr. Nick Hancock. Nick, if you come forward. We're very pleased to have gotten to know Nick over the past month in numerous interviews. And Nick comes our way via Licking Valley. Nick?
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. And yes, my name is Nick Hancock. I'm very excited to join this great district. I've heard nothing but great things, and so I'm really excited to be a part of the middle school and about this community. I've been teaching for 8 years. I teach the CTech Middle School Satellite Pre-Engineering Program. I've done 4 years at Heath Middle School, and the last 4 years I've been teaching at Licking Valley Middle School. So I'm just really excited to get to know all of you and be a part of this wonderful district.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Josh Martin. Josh will be serving as our new Dean of Students for Johnstown Elementary School. Josh comes to us with a strong background in mathematics and comes to us via Olentangy Schools. Josh, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me tonight. Very excited to join the district. I've spent the first 6 years of my education career at Olentangy Liberty Middle School and have worked in teaching math, science, and currently serving as our athletic director and math specialist. So just really excited to be here a little bit closer to where I grew up in New Albany, and just really excited to get started here in this awesome district. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I'd like to call Janice Smith to the podium to introduce a teacher who's here this evening to serve as our new art innovation team.
Good evening. It is my privilege to introduce our candidate to you. I will say she's another import from Licking Heights. Just kind of dawned on me a couple of minutes ago, like, oh, that's where you're from. We had a job fair at Southwest Licking, which was an excellent opportunity to meet a lot of really wonderful people. She came to our table, saw that there really wasn't anything in the area of high school art, and she said, well, you know, here's the resume anyway. Okay. So do you want to interview? No, here's the interview. Okay. I started looking at it and I saw that she had a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art and Technology. And I thought, well, this is someone I'm going to convince that she really is an intermediate art teacher. And so we talked several times. She met with the interview committee, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have her as our art and innovation teacher for Johnstown Intermediate. This is Caitlin Proverbs.
I guess I'll just say hello. This is me. You can call me just Kate Proverbs if you ever happen to see me, because my name is way too long. I do come from Licking Heights. I was in high school for 3 years, and I'm really looking forward to putting my bachelor's degree to use, because that's a lot of loans going to waste, you know, so I have an opportunity to do something like that. So thank you very much.
Tim, we're ready for audience comments at this time.
Yep. And first person is Marissa Hatfield.
Hi, thank you for the moment to speak. I've spoken to you guys before, but I haven't necessarily met all of you. So I'm on the agenda later for a parental leave request that extends past FMLA. And I wanted to take just a short second to kind of give some context around that, because there's only so much that I could put into my request letter, and some things have changed since my request. So I wanted you guys to have all the information that we have. So just 2 points. That first, I started our search for childcare simultaneously with my request, because childcare is very difficult to get into, especially infant rooms. So I started as early as I could. We've been waitlisted at 5 places so far, past even what I requested, which my request would go till May. So what we've done since then, we've been trying to figure out and kind of piece together a childcare plan. My family does not live close. My husband's family lives out of state, so we don't really have that as an option. But if I were to amend anything about my request, we do think that we could stagger leave to be able to get me to come back in April if May was not doable. So if that's anything to note for you guys, I could come back. March 31st would be the last day that I would be out. And if I need to make a new request, I can do that. The second thing is to give you guys some context. I'm on a teacher contract, but I'm not necessarily in the classrooms. I'm not in front of students 7.5 hours a day. As the lead online learning teacher, my job is primarily on an administrative side, running the program, troubleshooting, interacting with Stride Learning, which is our online platform. I think that getting a long-term substitute for me is not necessary, nor do I think it's feasible. So if there's any sort of, this might be a precedent-setting situation, I don't know that it would be, because I am not a precedent. There is no precedent for what I do compared to what other teacher contracts do. A long-term sub for me wouldn't be able to administrate the way that I do with Stride Learning, and all of the stuff that I do day to day can be taken over. So plan A is I've already started preparing, whether I come back in February, May, or March, preparing every possible thing that I can between now and October to prepare the semester changeover, which is like my big job administratively that no one else can really do. I can prepare stuff like that ahead of time. And then the second part to my preparation is that I already work with a teacher team, and my teacher team will be taking over a lot of that day-to-day helping students, helping families that I do with troubleshooting. I'm making a lot of resources for them, and they are already working with me to kind of see where they're going to need to step in to sustain the program, and I think that it's going to be very doable with the time that I have to prepare. So just wanted to give you guys that context and really thank you for the moment to kind of explain myself. And if I need to make a different request to amend until March, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Katie Miller.
My name's Katie Miller. I have two daughters in this district. Megan is a sophomore and Peyton is in 7th grade. After I graduated from Johnstown in 1991, I went to Denison University. Until then, I had never heard of the sport lacrosse. During my time on campus, I watched some games, and while working in the athletic training room, I certainly got to know some of the players. Both men and women's teams fielded some of the strongest and most resilient individuals on campus. The lacrosse program here at Johnstown has been a club sport for at least 9 seasons. The time to make this a varsity sport has come. My daughter Megan is completing her 2nd year on this team, and the lessons learned, resilience gained, mental and physical toughness, and the love of learning this sport has made her a better individual. I am constantly asked, even by my family members, why I allow my daughter to play this sport. In addition to the above reasons already named, she loves this game, and Mark and I are not willing to take that from her. With the certain growth to this community, it will be expected that this sport continue to grow and thrive. That can truly only happen if we can give the sport the legitimacy it deserves and make it a varsity level athletic program. Making lacrosse a varsity sport will offer consistency and allow the parents in this community to know that there is a commitment to this sport. This will allow parents of younger students to seek out opportunities for their children to play ahead of high school. The majority of the players that have played in our program have never played lacrosse until they step foot onto our field as high schoolers. That means that the majority of our athletes are starting at square one when they join the program. Other programs in Licking County are starting to field club middle school teams as well. In order for our program to thrive, it will be important to consider this as well. We already have one current middle school student who is traveling to and playing for the Licking Valley Middle School program this year. Our coaches have dedicated their own time and resources for these 9 seasons without being paid a supplemental contract. I feel it is well beyond time to start to give them the opportunity to be paid. They give just as much time, if not more, to our kids as any other coach in this district who is getting paid. Fundraising. As you know, lacrosse is funded through the generous sponsorships of local businesses. It is my understanding that fundraising for athletics and perhaps other programs will be taking quite a different approach soon. This may drastically change how lacrosse can fund its needs each season. Even if lacrosse were to remain a club, it would be important for lacrosse to have a seat at the table for those fundraising discussions, which it currently does not. The need for massive fundraising may also be a hindrance to those students who would otherwise choose to participate. The lacrosse program has never been in the red and has a ticket gate for each home game. At the very least, if this is a monetary discussion, this is a sport that can help defray some of its costs to the schools. We have several sports that don't or can't sell tickets and don't bring money in to help defray the costs for themselves each season. I often hear that storage or who purchases the equipment are questions. Those are questions with reasonably simple solutions. Please ask the questions, and the program will absolutely work with the board to see that positive solutions are created. The players buy their own gear, and I don't believe there is any expectation that the board would have to start to pay for everything in the future. I care very much about this group of kids, and I wish for them to have their sport truly recognized in this district. I have watched them learn and grow together so much throughout this season. They are a strong group of players, both mentally and physically, and they support and coach each other up. They work hard for themselves and to represent this district in a positive manner. They play with heart, game in and game out. I respectfully ask that you please give legitimacy to their sport, help them grow the program for future success, and if not, I ask that you please finally provide true and transparent clarity on why that cannot happen and what needs to be done in order to make this program a varsity level sport. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list was Alice Mean, but she already spoke. So after that, Levi Jacob.
I'm Levi. I'm Coach Jacob to the boys and girl. I've coached with Steph the last 9 seasons. I actually was a part of the inaugural class in 2005 to play lacrosse as a freshman, and it means a great deal to me and my family. Both my brothers had opportunities to play in the next level. I played in college. Isaiah, who I was able to coach, was able to play in college. So it definitely opened up some doors for me and him to make it to the next level financially. I think there's just in the last 9 seasons we've had players who've had the opportunity to take that step. If they did, they did. If not, if that wasn't part of their plan, then it wasn't part of their plan. But the lacrosse program here means a great deal to me. Clearly, we've been doing it for a long time, and we don't have any plans of stopping. It was a great, a great sight for us at the beginning of this season. We went to the middle school and tried to see how much interest we had over there, and we had 8 players show up and listen to our spiel. And of course, that's not enough players to start a program, but it was great to see that it's starting to trickle down to the middle school. And I think as the middle school is now up at this location, some of the kids either at track or after school seeing the guys out in the field practicing, and it's just a great sight to see the sport continue to grow. And that's why me and Steph do this. Is we love the sport and we want to continue to grow. We would hate for it to not be offered or be an opportunity for kids who want to do it. So I just wanted to step up here and introduce myself. I've never came to one of the board meetings, but I wanted to introduce myself to you guys and put a face with a name. And if there's anything you need or have questions about, feel free to give me a call.
Thank you. I appreciate
No
that.
problem.
And the final speaker, Tammy Wortman.
I'm here to speak on behalf of the lacrosse team as a parent, as a teacher of the district, and a former spring sports coach. So I have slightly different perspective to bring to the table in that regard. My son is the middle schooler that Katie referred to, who is traveling to Licking Valley to play lacrosse in middle school. He grew up playing in New Albany, and last year he had to play for Granville. This year I had to play for Licking Valley. We have kids in this district who are serious about this sport and willing to do what it takes to play this sport. And their parents are willing to make the sacrifices as well as the coaches. I would like to implore you to reconsider the status of the Johnstown High School lacrosse team. As you know, the lacrosse team has operated as a club sport at Johnstown for well over a decade. Lacrosse has continued to field a team year after year, despite the status and the necessity of raising funds to support their program. This perseverance and dedication to the sport displayed by our athletes, their parents, coaches, and sponsors demonstrates their commitment to the sport of lacrosse. These athletes deserve to see their sport as a recognized varsity sport at the high school, and it would be great to have that middle school program too. Lacrosse provides our students with another opportunity to play a sport, especially in the spring. Not every student is skilled enough to make the baseball or softball teams or lacks interest in those sports. While track does not have cuts, as a former track coach for 15 years and athlete, I can say with knowledge that it is also not a sport that appeals to everyone. Lacrosse provides students with another opportunity to compete for their school and participate in a healthy activity. If people fear there is a negative impact on numbers for these other spring sports, I think Mr. Brickner's participation chart demonstrates that lacrosse does not take away significantly from these other spring sports, while managing to keep lacrosse's numbers up enough to have a team of dedicated athletes year after year. Like many sports, the participation does waver from year to year. However, lacrosse continues to have the numbers for that team, despite having to raise funds to support this program. I would argue that if athletes did not have to fund the sport through fundraising and sponsorships,
that those numbers would go up. In addition, with the influx of new homes being built in Johnstown, there will be more students interested in playing lacrosse in the near future. It makes little sense that lacrosse is not a varsity sport. It is also one of the fastest growing sports. If the argument is based on equipment cost, I would argue that many sports require their athletes to provide some of their personal equipment, while the school provides for some as well. Football provides helmets and pads similar to the needs of lacrosse. Softball and baseball athletes provide their own bats. Lacrosse athletes could provide their own sticks. Not all of the equipment would need to be funded by the district. In addition, fundraising would likely continue, as in almost all school sports, but the need would not be as extensive as the current fundraising and sponsorships done by this team. Lacrosse should be a varsity sport. These athletes deserve to be treated and respected in the same manner as our other student athletes. If the board chooses not to elevate lacrosse to a varsity sport, then the board should provide all of their reasons for this publicly, with transparency, and what would be required for varsity status in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the board on that?
This time?
Yeah. At this time, we don't have any comment. We're working with Robbie on a.
We are.
Where's Robbie? There's Robbie. We're working with Robbie on a comprehensive plan. I think everyone knows our biggest issues here in the district are practice space for everybody. We don't. I mean, this is not a specific lacrosse issue. It's a sports issue for us across the board. We struggle starting any middle school program at this time. Just going that is almost impossible because we have no space available for anything anymore. We're trying to identify additional athletic space for everything. We're already utilizing JYA's Chambers Field for baseball. We utilize their football field for practices. We're trading, so we're short on space. That is the biggest hindrance to anything that we have. But beyond that, we do have other things that we have to look at into cost, transportation, busing. It's not just the cost of the busing, but it's make sure we've got enough buses, that we have enough drivers. There's things that Robbie has to look into for us that he'll provide a report back on, making all the feasibility of anything in the district work. So Robbie, last board meeting, presented all of the data, and that's what this is part of. Not, lacrosse is part of those bigger conversations of what can we afford, what do we have space for, and what can we expand. As a board, I can tell you we've discussed multiple times. We want as many kids in this district participating in an extracurricular activity as we can. I'd like it to be 100%. Every student in this district, I would love to be in some type of extracurricular, be it athletics, be it band, be it choir, something. So we're not looking to take any opportunities away. We're looking to increase those. It's just figuring out how do we get that done. So we're working with Robbie on that. And so at this time, we don't have an answer for you as far as what we can or can't do, but we are working on it, looking at seeing those possibilities. And we will get back with everybody. I'd say it will be probably at the end of the school year, deciding what we're capable of doing or not.
And I would add, if anybody is listening to this board meeting, if you have land available, we're here. We'd like to know about it. We do need space. So I was at the city council meeting last evening and learned that the inherited land that we thought was going to come Johnstown way is not going to be coming our way. It's been given at this juncture to the Licking County Parks and Recs Board, not to Johnstown. So with much chagrin, we all left that meeting feeling disappointed because we've counted on it for 61 years. So I haven't been there 61 years, but we certainly hoped that would come our way. But it doesn't appear that's going to happen. So if anyone hears about our plight, about trying to find more land, we'd like to talk to you right away. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay. I appreciate everybody speaking tonight. And like I said, we'll work with Robbie and get back to everyone. We'll probably officially get back through Coach, and then he can spread it out to the community. That'd be the easiest way for us to address things. Thank you.
Practice. Oh, it's okay.
I think they should tell us they're on crutches.
Right.
We need to know.
Is the one on crutches, Coach? Is that a lacrosse injury or? Okay.
Oh, well, okay.
Just curious.
Just-
All right. All right. All right. Yep. Thank you. All right. Moving on, Miss Pulley.
You should have minutes from the April 5th special session, April 11th regular session, and April 25th work session to approve. The March Treasurer's Report, updated estimated resources and appropriations. Several donations for approval. David Doyle donating an MPCNC machine. We're also recognizing JYAA for their contribution for the gym floor refurbishing that they made at the last meeting. And an anonymous donation to the Karen Hartman Memorial Scholarship Fund, and then several of our educators donating to the Educator Scholarship Fund. And we also have the amended 5-year forecast that we have to do twice a year. The May update has been sent out to you for your review. And then 2 policies, 3433 vacation and holidays for professional administrative staff, and 4433 vacation holidays for classified staff. These 2 policies are based on a recent bill that was passed by the Senate and the House and approved by the governor that mandates 11 and 12-month employees of a school district receive Juneteenth as a paid holiday. So that is just to update that in accordance with state law.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Can I ask what an MPCNC machine is?
I don't know.
Mostly pro. Got it. Got it.
Excellent. Of course, thanks again to JYAA for their generous donation and all the other folks on here and all the teaching staff and administrators that donated to the Educator Scholarship Fund. That's appreciated. Any other questions, comments? Call the roll.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes. Motion carries. Mr. Dixon?
Yes, a few items before we get to general recommendations. First of all, I'd like to thank the 1970 football team and friends for their additional donation of 12 computers. They are donating to the Broadcast Media Communications Program. This will be an additional 12 computers, making 24 for that program because it's already growing. The interest for that has grown during the course of the year. I want to thank Mr. Andrew Beers for doing a phenomenal job in his first year helping to develop that program. But the team had authorized the expenditures for 12 more computers. And these are the ones with the higher level graphics cards in them. So it'll match the others that are in the program. So first, I'd like to thank them. Secondly, we have authorized the use of the Performing Arts Center for the city of Johnstown to host a community meeting about Intel and community growth on May 19th. That is not in stone yet, but we have set aside that night for their use should they choose to use that at the request of the mayor. And I wanted to inform the board of that because that would be a fairly large event in there. And we are working to make sure we cover things for microphones and projections and all that for them. But we have set aside that use of that facility for the city. Also,
Dale, you might want to check with the city because they authorized that at their last meeting. They announced that they were going to use it. So
did they mention the 19th? Because
they
we looked
did.
at 2
They
dates.
did.
That's why I'm being a little
just
tenuous
check,
with
Be
this.
sure that we're right because they were going to put it on their website.
Great.
And we said we'd put it on our website. So maybe we need to
I sent
coordinate.
a letter to Mr. Dutcher,
Yes.
the mayor, confirming the use of the facility, and it's
Perfect.
in maintenance track. It's in FMX, so it's all set up.
And it's up on their website. It is the 19th.
Great, so that's confirmed. I just hadn't heard back.
And we said
from the
we'd
mayor
put
yet.
it on our website. So
Yep.
whomever does that,
We can get that.
thanks.
Sure. Also, want to thank those folks, and Tim, you included, have worked hard with to help plan for this year's fireworks events in the community. That'll be held Sunday, July 3rd on school grounds. Local musicians will provide a concert. 8 food trucks will be here this year. Remember, we had 2 food trucks last year and the lines were long, so now we have 8 food trucks coming in. And they're working on a bounce house for the children, and a lot of activities there planned prior to the fireworks, which will take off at dusk. So the concert will take place down front of the home stands, and we'll have the full band this year. Just a great event that's going to grow every year. And I just want to thank everybody for working together with the city and the schools to make it happen. Dave, Jenny, thank you for your time. You spent a lot of time helping plan out with law enforcement and fire department safe egress to and from these sites. And so thank you for your time. We look forward to that event every year. It's fun. And finally, by way of announcement, I think I covered this in Ed briefs with the board, but want to thank again Mr. Poole is a local person who hosts foreign exchange students each year, and we tend to limit that to 2 per year. And Mr. Busenberg's worked hard with the foundation that carefully screens these candidates. So we have 2 students coming to us for next year that's been confirmed, Mr. Poole being the host. One is from Spain and one's from Italy. So we look forward to meeting them. I know our students, as well as these students who are coming to us, have a great cultural exchange, and we've had a good experience with it over the years. So thank you, Mr. Busenberg, for your work on that. With that, I'm ready for general recommendations for the board, if you're ready for me.
Yes.
I'll briefly describe these. I obviously won't read each and every piece to this, but asking you under general recommendations this evening to, under item A, approve our list of graduates contingent upon their successful completion over the next 13 days of their requirements as set forth by the Board of Education of the State of Ohio. Under item B, we ask you to approve the graduation of Cassie Stone as a 2022 high school graduate, having successfully completed the 22 plus adult high school diploma program. Congratulations to Cassie. To approve 2022-23 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. And to approve under item D, an overnight field trip for the football players to attend their football camp at Ohio Wesleyan for the dates listed. Under item E, to approve the following one-year agreements, as we do each year, with the Licking County ESC for 2023. Those are 3 agreements with the one addendum that we pass each year for the special education contract. Under item F, to approve a one-year contract with Licking Memorial Hospital to provide 2 RN nurses and 1 point-of-care technician for next year. And that total cost of $123,000 is an exceptional value for our district, considering 3 full-time employees all year for that service. We thank Licking Memorial for offering that. Under item G, to approve the purchase of 140 Acer Chromebooks and 140 Google Chrome education upgrades at a cost of $35,980.30. And this comes on the recommendation of the Technology Committee, having reviewed the need in our Recycle Refresh program. Under item H, to approve a 3-year agreement with Harvard Maintenance to provide custodial services at a cost of $744,604 in the first year of a 3-year contract. And I want to thank the Buildings and Grounds Committees for working on that. We have made appropriate changes, as I think you can see from the materials I sent before the meeting to you with regards to termination and term of contract language that you wanted addressed. Under item I, to adopt the following district policies. These are 3 policies that have been reviewed carefully and having been tabled since January. The instruction were to bring it back to the night's meeting for your consideration. Under item J, to approve an overnight field trip for the Big Red Band Marching Band Camp, and they'll be going to Bellefontaine, Ohio for that at the dates listed. Under item K, to approve a memorandum of understanding with Johnstown Education Association, making one day that was scheduled to be an instructional day. Now we really need that PD day on August 17th, delaying the start of classroom instruction by one day in order to provide staff with necessary training with regard to the new Power School operational program for our district. And I want to thank JEA for their time in considering that and signing off on the MOU prior to the meeting. Excuse me. And under item L, asking the board to consider a recommendation to approve a 1-year service agreement with Four Seasons Environmental. This is for our HVAC engineering work, ongoing work. They send a technician in 2 days a week, more when necessary, to cover our HVAC maintenance and work needs at a total cost annually of $54,571.68. Those are my general recommendations this evening.
Thank you. I'd like to pull out item A and separate first, if I could get a motion. Item A.
So moved. I'll second.
And historically, we pull out the graduates to vote on separately, just as not to include them.
Salute.
Yes, it's a salute to the graduates. We don't like to lump them in with other actions, so we pull that out separately for the reason. So if anyone's wanting to know why we're pulling A out separately to vote, we just like to recognize the graduates separately from the other actions of the board. If I can get a roll call on A, please.
Excuse me, Tim, are you going to amend the extra name?
Oh, it's just there's a typo. A name got put in twice. There's a name in there twice. Second column, second page, next to the last.
Second to the bottom.
You see, it's
Oh.
just double print.
Yes, thank you.
That's right. That's impressive. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes. And preliminarily, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And now if we can get a motion for items B through L.
I'll make the motion.
Get a second, please.
I'll second.
Discussion? Are we good on all the trips and everything? Everyone? I'm assuming we've got all the forms filled out for all the trips, all the chaperones.
I have them here
All
for
the
you to sign,
chaperones.
Tim,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
following the meeting.
All righty.
I'd just like to thank Dave, Jenny, Kim, and Dale and Debbie for their work on the Harvard contract, along with getting the bids for all the other companies. So.
And I would also like to thank the Technology Committee on behalf of myself and Amanda. You know, Debbie Seibel's headed up the committee for so many years, and I want to thank her participation and her leadership. And I'd like to also thank all the committee members. These are teachers and administrators that take time out of their busy day after school to participate within the committee. So I want to thank everyone.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes, motion carries.
And we are at that time of the year when we do a lot of personnel actions this month and next month. So please bear with me. I will not read each of these. You've had these in advance and had the opportunity to ask questions, and certainly I'll answer any questions you have after the motion. But reading from 9A, this is approving the following administrative positions for employment as listed. Under item B, we're asking you to approve the following certified positions as listed. Excuse me, persons for the positions as listed. Under item C is the motion to approve the classified persons for those positions as listed. Under item D, asking the board to approve a rate of $250 a day for certified nurse for 5th grade camp. There are 2 different camps at 5th grade. We are struggling to find someone to fill this need. We may need to go to a nursing service, but I'd like you to, if we end up finding someone locally, I wanted to have the rate at which we would be able to pay approved by the board if we could use that. So that's why I'm bringing D to you this evening. Under item E, to approve following unpaid days for Sarah Coben as listed. Under item F, to accept the resignation of Chelsea Cannon as intervention specialist. And we thank her for her service. Under item G, to approve 1 additional day without pay for Mr. Fresh. Previously was approved for 2 days. There were some changes in airline beyond his control, which caused the need to use another unpaid day. Under item H, to approve up to 5 high school teachers to serve as credit recovery support for a maximum of 10 days, $200 a day, as we did last year for that program. Under item I, to approve 2 middle school teachers to serve as content recovery support for a maximum of 10 days at $200 a day. If you recall, this is the first year we're trying to do this similar program that we did at the high school at the middle school. We are struggling to find enough instructors to fill that gap, but we do have 2 that have signed up to do that, and so they're adjusting their plans to be able to serve as many students. I think they're going to have a hybrid of the program there, using some online with teacher guidance to help serve more kids. So I'll have more on that as we proceed with those plans, but asking you to approve those 2 teachers tonight so we can move forward with the plans. Under item J, asking you to accept the resignation of Doug Scarberry, and I thank him for his service in the maintenance department this year. Under item K was the addition that we received the resignation today of Christina Freeman as elementary student attendant. So those are my personnel recommendations for the board to consider this evening. Thank you.
Quick question, correction. Should we take her name off of the above chart? For item K, she's on the above chart.
You are correct. Since she's resigning today, we no sense in hiring her. I will amend my recommendation as such. Thank you, Amanda. That did not get taken off.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. I just had one question. Is Sidra back? I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen her.
thought maybe she was still on leave too. I didn't know.
Oh, no. That was just in the winter.
Yeah, I hadn't seen her recently, so I didn't know
That
if she
was
off.
FMLA.
Right.
leave.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious because I hadn't seen her recently. I
Yeah.
didn't know. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to committee reports. Any committee reports that we need?
For curriculum, Amanda and I were invited, well, all of the board was invited to the Battle of the Books on Friday, May 6th at the Johnstown Elementary School. And Janet has pictures. Janet has pictures from that day. Thank you so much.
I've already seen
It was
it.
a fun day.
Oh,
The
you've
kids
seen
start in November. Correct me if I'm wrong. So kids start in November to read a list of 60 books, and they
40.
40. Okay,
That's okay.
sorry. I thought I heard 60. And they work with teachers that volunteer their time to work with the children, prep them to do like a quiz bowl, and they compete against each other. So this was very enlightening. The kids were so excited. Their word this week was courage, so that went right along with it because they were on the stage in front of everybody to answer questions about a book and the title. So if you as an adult can remember your books and titles, it's to see these kids remember it is even better. So, Amanda.
Yeah, I agree. It was really exciting. I've never witnessed a Battle of the Books before. It was really awesome. I was very fortunate as a parent to have my 5th grader participate, and considering it's something we only do up till 5th grade, I was really excited that before he makes his adventure, sadly, to middle school, no offense, I just don't want him to grow up. It was very exciting, and even the children in the audience were so excited. They knew the book titles and they were trying to whisper so they didn't get the answers away. I loved it. I'm so glad that you guys were able to put it back on this year. So appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to ask a question and perhaps an ask. Has the school ever done spelling bees, and is that something you've considered, or is bees? I don't like to put a bunch of extra things on your plate. I just saw the excitement with that, and thought this is sort of in the same veins and the excitement of the students. And so I was just curious, have we done those in the
She
past?
stole my question because I was going to ask that one, the same thing.
I don't know.
want a spelling bee, so can we do
Also,
something
I
like
almost
that?
won the spelling bee growing up, so it's a little bit selfish.
I think you're too old to compete if that's what you were implying.
Well, I got knocked out by pneumonia.
The word or actually
Can't
having?
spell
No,
pneumonia.
the word.
Oh.
So we have had them in the past. Or do we usually do older grades, 4th and 5th?
Well, it's nice that the past tense, but could we start and do it again?
I just think it's so exciting to see the kids just so vibrant about learning. So I just thought reading, spelling, just not to add anything extra to your plate, but I'm sure the children and the board would love that. What?
I said the championship would be held on Grandparents' Day, so you guys' heads would just explode. All right.
Yeah,
But thank you all for doing that.
Yeah, I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate
That
It was
great.
really awesome.
It was awesome to see the kids and teachers. It was a fun day.
All right. At this time, we have some new business I'd like to go. We do have executive session, but first I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve a 3-year contract with Dr. Philip Wagner to serve as superintendent of schools effective August 2nd, 2022 through July 31st of 2025 per the agreed upon contract.
I'd be honored to make that motion.
And I will second.
Discussion. Excited. I mean, we are. Great things to say about Dale, and we're excited for the future. I mean, that's how we look at it as a board, and we're looking forward to the expertise that you have in the fields that I think, having dealt with a lot of the issues that we're going to be facing, is just something that this board is very grateful for your experience, and we look forward as a community, not just as a school district, as a community, to make sure we shape our district and our community into what we would like to see it. So excited to have that. We can call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes, motion carries. Welcome aboard officially.
Welcome.
The pressure's on.
That's right. And now the work begins. I'd also like a motion and a second to approve a consultant contract with Dr. Philip Wagner for up to 20 days at the per diem rate for transition work associated with the new position. Philip and Dale, this is, we've talked about this. This is to allow him to come over before his contract would take place and, get a good feel for everything before Dale leaves and work and get a better understanding of everything that the challenges and opportunities that we have here. So if I could get a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. And any discussion, comments? I think we're good to go. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes, motion carries. All right. Thank you very much.
Tim, I do want to say thanks again to the board for a great process. I know it wasn't easy, but you're heading in the right direction. I think Phil's skill set and leadership will be very good for our school district, and wish you nothing but the best, Phil.
And at this time, I'd like to get a motion to go into executive session for discussion, employee compensation, matters to be kept. Well, let's go through 5 and 6. 1, 5, and 6. If I can get a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Executive session, what do you have, 6:02?
6:02.
6:02.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Who would you like, Tim, in the meeting?
Just the board first, and then we'll call a few people in probably.
One. hold some people here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just going to go down the hall.
Sure.
All right. We back live, Deb? Okay. All right. Welcome back. First action is to a motion to approve the. Let me get all my junk out. If I can get a motion to approve the classified salary schedules for fiscal year 23 as presented by Mr. Dixon, which is in the attachment.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Call the roll.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes, motion carries. And that was the compressed salary schedule that we spoke about earlier.
Okay.
Then if I can get a motion to deny all requests beyond the FMLA approved required leave.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? As a board for the public and Ms. Hatfield, the board does not want to set any precedent beyond the 12 weeks that is required for FMLA and for the continuity of education. So requests beyond the 12-week FMLA are being denied. Can I get the roll call, please?
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes. That, I think, unless anyone else has any we need to address. Anyone else?
I think that's it.
Can we get a motion to adjourn? And I have 7:39.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Swager?
Yes. This meeting is adjourned 7:39. Thank you.